Thailand and Cambodia, two neighboring countries in Southeast Asia, have clashed once again. There was a ceasefire between them, but that ceasefire has been broken. The conflict has started again. In this video, we'll understand the tensions between the two countries. We'll learn about the dispute between them. What is the issue that causes these two nations to keep fighting each other? Let us talk about it. To understand the entire issue properly, we first need to understand the Donrek Mountain region. The Donrek Mountains stand like a natural wall between Thailand and Cambodia. There are dense forests here. There are ancient temples. There are steep cliffs that serve as strategic high ground. And there are local communities here that depend on cross-border movement. This hilly region has now become the most volatile geopolitical fault line in Southeast Asia. The crisis you are seeing in 2025 has very old roots. The root of the entire dispute is a 100-year-old map that Thailand and Cambodia interpret differently. The Thailand-Cambodia dispute is centered around their 800-kilometer-long border. It is especially focused on the section around the Donrek Mountains. The Pre-Vihar temple located here is the focal point of the conflict. We'll come to that as well, but first, let us understand the geography of this region. The Donrek Mountains act like a natural wall between Thailand and Cambodia. But today, they have turned into a battlefield. This is a mountain range spread 300 to 350 kilometers from east to west. It stands like a backbone between Thailand's Khorat Plateau and Cambodia's northern plains. You can think of it as a long stone balcony that overlooks Cambodia. The north side of this mountainous range, which is the Thai side, slopes gradually down into Thailand. And the south side, which faces Cambodia, is like a steep cliff. The highest point of this range is at an elevation of around 700 to 750 meters. This is where the Pre-Vihar temple is located. The Pre-Vihar temple is literally built on the edge. During the 11th century, in the era of the Khmer Empire, several temples were built here. These include the Pre-Vihar temple and the Prasad Temun Thom temple. In the 11th century, during the time of the Khmer Empire, there was no border. The Khmer Empire controlled both sides. But today there is a border between Thailand and Cambodia. And all these temples are located exactly on the fault line of the modern Thailand-Cambodia border. This is the root of the conflict. Among these is a very sacred temple, the Pre-Vihar temple. It is a stunning temple. It sits atop a cliff that is almost half a kilometer high, and the cliff on which the temple is built belongs to Cambodia. But as we discussed, the cliff on the Cambodian side is extremely steep, and the part on the Thai side can be accessed very easily. The slope on the north side toward Thailand descends gradually. And this strange border situation is where the confusion begins. What is the reason behind this strange border situation? The answer is Cambodia coming under French rule. It is the result of Cambodia becoming a French colony. Back in the 1830s, Cambodia was stuck between very strong neighbors. One of Cambodia's neighbors, Siam or Thailand, controlled the Cambodian kings. And Cambodia's other neighbor Vietnam wanted to Vietnamize Cambodia. Cambodia was trapped between the two. By 1850, Cambodia was almost on the verge of splitting into two parts. Then in 1863, the Cambodian king of that time, Norodom I, took a desperate step. Norodom asked France for protection. France agreed. Cambodia then became a French protectorate. And gradually by 1884, Cambodia became a French colony. By 1904, France has consolidated French Indochina. This included Vietnam, Laos and Cambodia. Now it was time to fix the borders with Siam or Thailand. And this is where everything changed. The modern border that you see today between Thailand and Cambodia begins with the Franco-Siamese treaties. Between 1904 and 1907, the treaties signed between France and Thailand, the Franco-Siamese treaties, marked the beginning of the modern border. Under these treaties, Thailand had to lose some of its territories. France gained a few regions. And France and Thailand decided together that the border would be fixed on the natural watershed line of the Donrek Mountains. The border would lie along the watershed line. Then, between 1907 and 1908, a famous French map was published. That map is the root of today's conflict. The line that French surveyors drew at that time has caused disputes between Thailand and Cambodia to this day. And many lives are still being lost because of it. The Pre-Vihar temple and the surrounding area of about 4.5 square kilometers were drawn inside Cambodia by the French surveyors. But the natural watershed line that had been decided was slightly to the south. But France wanted all the Khmer temples to fall inside French Indochina. So the French surveyors drew a border in such a way that the Previar temple came inside Cambodia. Thailand received this map in 1908. For decades, Thailand did not protest. In 1953, Cambodia gained independence. After this, disputes began over the old colonial maps. In 1959, the matter reached the International Court of Justice. In 1962, the International Court of Justice gave a decision that the temple belonged to Cambodia. For decades, Thailand remained silent. It did not make any kind of diplomatic protest. Thailand's silence became the basis of the ICJ's 1962 judgment. So the temple was given to Cambodia in the judgment. But the surrounding land was not clearly defined. Therefore, Thailand continued to claim this disputed area of 4.5 square kilometers. And this unresolved boundary issue became the cause of clashes. These clashes keep breaking out again and again. By 2000s, Thailand and Cambodia had become modern economies. But the old colonial maps continued to disturb their relations. Then in 2008, a symbolic step was taken that reignited tensions. This step was Cambodia's attempt to get the Previar temple declared a UNESCO World Heritage Site. For this, Cambodia submitted an application, and UNESCO approved it in Cambodia's name. Now, nationalist groups in Thailand started protesting. A political storm began, and clashes started occurring along the border. From 2008 to 2011, clashes kept occurring on the border from time to time. Diplomatic tussles continued. In 2011, a very major clash took place. It was a deadly episode. Soldiers on both sides lost their lives. Thousands of civilians had to be evacuated. Even parts of the temple were damaged due to shelling. A blame game was going on from both sides. After this, Cambodia once again approached the International Court of Justice. In 2013, the International Court of Justice clarified that the disputed land would be given to Cambodia. In 1962, the ICJ had confirmed that the temple belonged to Cambodia. And in 2013, the ICJ confirmed that the disputed land would also go to Cambodia. This was done to remove any kind of vagueness and to ensure that no further disputes would arise. Therefore, the ICJ made it clear that Cambodia would be considered to have control over the entire cliff top of the Previar temple. And Thailand would have to withdraw its forces from there. But remember, the border was still not demarcated. There is not just one temple on the border, the Previar temple. There are many temples. There are many ancient temples. And the demarcation in those areas is still unclear. Tensions remain here. Troops are stationed on both sides. Both countries claim these areas. Patrolling clashes keep happening again and again. There are incidents of removing each other's flags. Villagers get arrested. Thailand has easy access here, as we discussed. So the walkway is controlled by Thailand. But Cambodia claims historical ownership. And because of this, tensions continue. However, from 2015 to 2018, a phase of peace emerged. Even if it was only for a short time, both governments understood that fighting was very costly. If there was peace, money could also be made. So both sides started working together. Border crossings were opened. Initiatives were taken to increase tourism at shared temples. Work was done to create joint patrolling protocols. Efforts were made to increase trade. It began to seem that the dispute was calming down. But after this, China made an entry into the region. And China began to change the entire strategic map of the region. China is Cambodia's closest partner. It has heavily invested in Cambodia. It provides military aid to Cambodia. It is modernizing Cambodia's Ream naval base. Roads, infrastructure, hydropower dams, special economic zones, you name it, China is building everything. But Cambodia was not China's only ally. Thailand also began moving closer to China. Thailand deepened its ties with China. China entered Thailand as well. It developed high-speed rail inside Thailand. It invested in Thailand's industrial zones. Military cooperation between the two countries increased. Between Thailand and Cambodia, the neighboring countries, conflict existed. But China managed to increase influence in both countries. And when external influence grows, stability naturally weakens. Especially when nationalist governments are in power, and both sides have drones and modern artillery. At the beginning of 2025, Cambodia began constructing a new access road. The problem was that Thailand claimed that area as its own. So in response, Thailand reinforced its outposts. It shifted its artillery. It deployed surveillance drones. Tensions began to rise. For the first time, drone warfare was seen in this conflict. Cambodia used Chinese drones. Thailand used Israeli and domestic drones. Both countries began accusing each other of airspace violations. In mid-2025, a major clash took place. For the first time in years, a fatality was seen. There was a clash along the border and a firefight occurred. Soldiers lost their lives. Border villages had to be evacuated. Thailand accused Cambodia of building bunkers in its territory. Cambodia said that Thailand was firing. Both countries are members of ASEAN, but ASEAN could not stop these tensions. The threat of war was looming because both countries had modern weapons. They had better surveillance. Even a small clash could turn into a full war. Nationalism was at its peak in both countries. Videos of troops were going viral on social media. Clips of raising their own flag and removing the other side's flag were going viral. Claims of border intrusions were being made from both sides. The public was also putting pressure, so the government had to take tough decisions. And both countries were taking military support from China. So diplomacy became even more complicated. The threat of a regional war was becoming truly real. This mapping error and the presence of ancient temples create a complex situation. Add modern weapons and nationalist emotions to it, the situation becomes extremely complicated. Then the great power competition between the US and China was also visible. Cambodia is a strategic partner of China. Thailand was traditionally an ally of the US. But in recent years, there have been many coups. Political instability remained. There was an economic slowdown. This made Thailand dependent on China's investment and technology. So both countries are close to China. Both are ASEAN nations. And China is a country that wants a divided ASEAN. Because if ASEAN remains divided, China can play its strategic game in the South China Sea and the Indo-Pacific. China can easily increase its influence here. Therefore, if there is a tension on the border between Thailand and Cambodia, it suits China's game. A divided ASEAN suits China. ASEAN has a rule that there should be no war between member states. There should be no external interference in the internal affairs of any country. But the clashes that happened in 2025 between Thailand and Cambodia are a test for ASEAN. They are a test of ASEAN's unity, because China would want ASEAN paralysis. China would want ASEAN to remain internally divided. The United States is uneasy about China's growing influence. China wants controlled tension to remain on the border. It wants that there should not be a war, but controlled tension should continue. The United States wants Thailand and Cambodia to achieve peace. This would prevent China's influence from increasing here. That is why you will see that US President Donald Trump brokered a peace deal between Thailand and Cambodia in Kuala Lumpur. Border clashes had stopped, but this ceasefire has ended. Clashes have erupted again. The implementation of the peace agreement has been suspended. Tension has returned to the region. This also shows how fragile ASEAN unity is. Once again, we have seen how dangerous a legacy colonial borders have left behind. The Thailand-Cambodia dispute is a test for the entire region. If the tensions are not de-escalated, the impact will shake the whole of Southeast Asia.